actors in that story. And so I recommend, this is my nod to the Oscars, I recommend seeing both. Thank you very much. But this is the God Talk, guys. And so we're here to talk about God and all things faith-related. And what I would like to talk about, because it's something very present in my life right now, is humbling. These times in our lives when we are humbled, when the mighty are brought low.
Do you know the famous song?
Hit me.
Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble.
I've heard of it.
When you're perfect in every way.
Who sang that?
I don't remember how it goes, but it keeps going on in that vein.
I'll bet it keeps going on and on.
About how wonderful it is and what a challenge it is to be so handsome, how hard it is to be humble.
But here's the thing. It's great to be handsome, and it's great to be smart, and it's great to be slim, and it's great to be wealthy, and it's great to have all of these things, but we won't have them forever. And what life reminds us of all the time is that what we have for a little while.
Well,
so
can we have more when we die and go to heaven?
I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody else. I have no memory of heaven. I may have been there. We may have come from there. But myself, I have very little. Do you have any memories of heaven? Were you there? Can you tell me anything about it? Can you tell any of us?
It's CCTV forever. It's heaven.
Oh, well, some people might choose hell over that, but not me. I'm into it.
I give these softballs to be hit out of the park. Any other questions you'd like to ask? I will serve them up. It's your show.
Okay. So humbling. So here's something that's been very humbling. I've had a few humbling experiences in my life very recently. And one of them is sciatica, which is a condition where your sciatic nerve, which is a huge nerve, runs from your lower back, I guess, all the way down your legs. And my dear friend Ken Soyo, who's an ER doc, if he's watching, he could go on at some length about the particulars, but since he's not here, since only you and I are here, it's an unfortunate condition in which the sciatic nerve can be, you've had this experience yourself.
Oh yes.
Where the sciatic nerve becomes inflamed because of, it might be pressure from a disc, a bulging disc, a slipped disc. It might be as simple as a strain, but an excruciating, a big strain of the lower back. And it's a debilitating experience. And I've heard of it in the past. I've heard of people talk about sciatica. And I practice being compassionate. I practice being a good listener and listening to all their complaints and nodding. But until recently, I have not had the experience myself. Now I know.
And now it'll be different, maybe. When
now it'll be very different. When I hear somebody talk, yes?
I had it a while ago, so
yeah.
It's still an act to remember.
Yeah.
But if I start taking a few deep breaths, I could really be more compassionate, actually.
Take a couple.
Wow.
Take a couple right now. And show me some compassion.
Wow, I can feel it more. That's so interesting. I could hear you talk about it and feel for you, and then I could really remember and start to cry.
While you're weeping for me.
Yes, I'm not sure it was for you, but
okay.
a better self would.
So as an example of humbling, I have found that probably the most comfortable position is to be either seated or on, even better, on my back with my legs drawn up, my knees drawn up to my chest. But one must get things done if you're a human being, and one must prepare food, one must come to do the show, because the show must go on. And what I found getting around my apartment is it's a lot easier to crawl around on my hands and knees.
Wow.
From place to place. That's a humbling experience. it takes a lot longer to get from place to place
Yes.
on hands and knees. But I have to say, I am grateful to have discovered this mode of transportation, whereas before it was just like trying to get out of bed, trying to get across the room.
Good for you.
You know, I will take hands and knees over that. This morning when I got up, I go to Mass every Sunday. It's very important for me to do that. And my plan was to go to St. Paul's Catholic Church here in Cambridge, in Harvard Square, which is about 2 or 3 miles from me. Normally I get there by bicycle. And I got up this morning thinking, you know, I just might not be able to make that. Because it took so long to get dressed, and it took so long to get myself out the door. And I do find it's a lot easier on a bicycle than it is to walk, because my legs are already half up to my chest, so it's a little less pressure on the sciatic nerve. So easier to go by bicycle. And I got to that point on Cambridge Street where I had to either take a right. I keep forgetting that we are limited in our, we have a frame around. So take a right to go to Harvard Square, 2 or 3 miles, or take a left to go just 2 or 3 blocks down the street to Sacred Heart Catholic Church here in East Cambridge. And I took that left. I took the left to Sacred Heart because I just could not see myself doing all that pedaling to get down to Harvard Square. So it was a beautiful service. Very moving, and I felt very grateful that I could just be there, that I could land in the pew in time for the service to begin. But again, a very humbling experience. And this is from a guy who is, you know, we all have our baseline about what we're used to as far as getting around, physicality, mobility. And that when that baseline is undercut, when we can't do what we're used to doing, we go through all of the stages of dying, right? Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, am I remembering that right?
Oh, yes.
So denial, okay, this isn't happening to me. I'm just going to force my way right through it. I don't know, what are the other stages?
One of them is bargaining. If you
I did that.
Yes.
God, if you can just get me out the door, I swear I will.
Did we do anger? No, we didn't.
We didn't do anger.
Anger, you're really angry this is happening to you.
To me,
Yes.
not to my beloved friend. I could imagine it if it happened to him, but to me,
Yes.
I don't understand it. I don't get it.
The last one is acceptance, but we're missing one. There's bargaining, anger, denial, and the last one's acceptance, but there's one more stage.
Is there another stage?
Yeah,
Is
there are
it,
5 stages.
Is it depression?
Yes, it could well be.
Okay, or
If
something like
if it
depression?
Isn't, it should be.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Why do anything at all?
Yeah.
Why even try?
Yeah.
I think I'll just stay in bed. But finally, it was like, well, you know, this is the way to. And actually, on that topic of acceptance, I had a very valuable phone call with you a little bit earlier today when you were describing your experience, because you were moving years ago when you were a younger man.
Yep.
And developed sciatica then. And and it was very debilitating. And then you came across this suggestion from Dr. Weil, your friend Dr. Weil.
27 years later.
Oh, and what did he have to say?
He said that they had done studies at Beth Israel Deaconess that people who had debilitating back conditions, not just sciatica, that many of them, if they just went around did their daily chores, which would have meant for you going to church in Harvard Square, actually, as a, not a rule, but
Sure.
carrying groceries, and even if it hurt, and I started spasms and so on, to not let that stop me from going to the harvest and carrying my groceries home. And in the past, when the spasms came, I'd say, "Oh, could you please carry my groceries?" And I would really be freaking out, because it usually meant another debilitating week of pain and weakness.
Yeah.
And this time I just kept doing what I was doing, and it was amazing. Instead of letting the spasms freak out my body and psyche, I just...
Instead of being slave to your spasms.
Yes, I said, well, okay, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. I noticed you're there. And they didn't freak me out or my body.
Yeah.
And I've been better on this one little thing, and my back has not been bothering me since.
Yeah.
Occasional
Well,
spasm.
I was really...
I'm not recommending this.
I understand that.
I mean, some people this
He
might
is
not
not
work.
a physician.
Yes.
He is not a medical doctor.
Or recommending it for everybody. Right. It's just...
But it's one that it's a suggestion that I'm going to keep in my toolbox.
Yep.
As I work my way through this. And I don't know if it's the kind of thing... What I did do today, though, what I was going to say is I don't know if it's the kind of thing that I'm going to do when it's really in acute mode, acute spasm phase. It might be something a little bit farther down the road. But one thing I did do today, based on your suggestion, was I was in the kitchen and I was kind of hunched over because it's easier to be hunched over and get around. You saw me walking up to the studios. It's less painful to be hunched over, walking like a million-year-old man. But in the kitchen, after hearing your suggestion, I decided just to stand up to my full height for a few minutes, for a few moments, and just feel it. And it was freeing.
Wow.
Even though the pain was still there, I decided that for a few moments, I'm just gonna stand up.
I'm going to add one important addition to this,
Yeah,
which
please.
is what you just did. I do this. I don't just follow what Andrew Wells said. I check things out beforehand. If I'm going to pick up a heavy bag of groceries, I first get the feel of it, and my body and psyche usually says yes, do it.
Okay.
So I would check out any and just hear what your body and psyche wants, and then go for it.
Yeah. Have you had Alexander technique or Feldenkrais?
Yes.
Okay. I've had a little bit of both, and both of those are ways of doing exactly that. Of before making a movement, checking in with our bodies to see if the movement is right.
Yes.
Because we get into these habits of sitting, of standing, of walking, of opening doors without even thinking about it, just doing it. It's sort of like we're just following some kind of program in our mind, and we forget to be in touch with our bodies in the same way that we are when we're infants or children or animals. I remember when I was an animal. So actually that's one of the good things about humbling, and maybe for me right now, I'm discovering actually right this second, this idea that this humbling is an invitation from my body to me to listen, to really check in. And instead of doing things the way that I normally do, the way that I plan to, the way that I expect to say, okay, things are a little different now. I've gone through the 5 stages of dying, and I realize that I've died and I've gone to the other side, and I'm in a new world right now than the world that I was a few days ago. And so to be in right relationship, and that really is the entirety for me of my relationship with God, the entirety to me of spiritual practice, being in right relationship. For me to be in right relationship with my body is to be listening. And as Simone Weil, the famous 20th century Jewish, right?
Yep.
Jewish converted to Catholicism philosopher, she said that prayer is listening. Prayer is listening. And so this act, through this humbling that I've been experiencing,
Right.
I get to listen in a way that I wasn't listening before. By listening to my body saying, well, what's okay to do, what's not okay to do, and also listening to my friends. When my friends give me advice, you could try this, you could try that. But really set aside who I was, because I'm not that anymore.
So it's been a gift in its way.
That's the thing about humbling, is it teaches us something, it gives us a gift.
And you can speak to this pain, listen to the pain itself, and see what it has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Thank it for its gift.
Thank you for your attendance. Yes.
And for the gift it's giving you, and see what it has to say to you, too.
Hmm.
What pictures, what words.
Huh. So, like, I can imagine having a little meditation around that?
Yes,
or
putting your
prayer?
hand on it and say, okay, what pictures come? What words come? You can argue with it, have a conversation. What can I do to have you, thank you for coming and teaching this to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've learned, would it be okay for you to go? Or please leave. Thank you for visiting.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of possibilities. And it could be pictures as well, or songs, or even movements that it might want to, dances it might want to,
Yeah.
it might want you to do. I remember I had a bad foot for 4 years. I was playing basketball and my friend said,
What was your age?
50.
Okay. You're 73. You just turned, Michael Koran may I?
Yes,
Michael Koran just turned 73. 2 days ago, right?
1 day ago.
1 day ago.
Yes.
He's 73 in 1 day. Good job, Michael.
Oh, thank you.
You made it.
Yeah, I'm
So far, so
it's
good.
funny when after a certain age you get proud.
Yeah.
Like when I was 50, I was like ashamed to be so old.
I know I was, but I tried online dating a few years ago, and I absolutely would not put my actual age, which is 57. I checked in with friends, and some friends, a select number of friends I checked in with, and I said, would it be okay if I just lied about my age? And they said, it's online dating. Sure.
I was not one of those.
You were not one of those.
No,
That's true.
I was one of those that
That's
said,
true.
no, change it. I say go online and change it.
Oh, I think what you recommend. I think that I offered this as a compromise, and I think that you said okay to this, to put my to put my lying age on the on the top of the profile,
And then
in the bottom of the profile
say I lied.
explain that I
Why-
lied
yeah.
and explain why.
Yeah, I think we made that compromise.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, I did that for 3 months, and then I couldn't do that anymore either.
Well, another healing story, if you like, that might be helpful.
Okay, does it have to do with our topic? Our topic is humbling.
Well, anytime you need healing, but I can save it for later. And I just want to say that humbling is from humus, which is ground.
Oh,
Earth.
you mean it's related to the word?
Yes, the same
interesting.
root. And so crawling on the ground, like you were in your apartment, is truly getting in touch with the ground.
I like that.
And this woman,
it makes me want to do what my dad always does in a setting like this: go to a dictionary, look it up.
yes, and this woman who translated Genesis, and she gets to the root of the words, says that, because I'm sure you know that Adam means Adamah, which is earth, or maybe you know. So Adam is made of earth, and so the original humans were called groundlings.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Adamites. Or
No, groundlings.
Groundlings.
We're earthlings, we're groundlings. So humbling is to become the groundling we are.
And the grounding that we started as.
Yes, to know that we're really, we're plants.
We are still infants crawling around on our hands and knees.
We're moving trees.
On the topic of humbling, I can give another example. As part of my leaning over to get a prop, leaning over to get do a little show and tell. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started doing this thing called my promise ladder. And my promise ladder came about because I didn't feel like I was getting enough done during the day. And I was disappointed with myself that I would start the day with this whole list of things to do. And by the end of the day, I would say, what happened? Look at all these things that are still on the list. Where did the day go? And so I had this idea, well, I will make a promise, a hell or high water promise to commit to doing certain things during the day. And I started out with 2 or 3 things, and I did them. And the next day I did 1 or 2 things more, and I did it. And I started to feel really empowered. It was like, all I have to do is say, I promise to do this, I will do this, and it gets done.
Wow.
Gets done. I do it.
We can know the end of the story. We know it. Everybody, this is Cambridge. This is a brilliant audience.
So I started keeping a record. So here you can see one of the early ones. That there's, as you can see, there's just a few things in there, and I get them done. And with each passing day, I add a little bit more. And after a while, it's like, look at all this stuff. Look at this list. Things that I put on the list, cross it out, cross it out. And you know why I get it done? Because I said at the top, I commit to completing the tasks and practices below, come hell or high water.
Wow. You write that down?
I wrote it down, barring a bona fide urgency or emergency. I will get this done. And I was doing it.
Wow.
I was doing it.
Does this sound
And
like...
I thought this is like, I should develop a technique.
Oh, trouble.
This is something I could market.
There is a group called the Sterling Group. They do that with each other.
Oh, wow. So, but then last week things started to change. And let me see if I can find the first one. Oh, I think it started with just one. There was one thing that I didn't get done. And you can see that I circled it in red. And I made a note to see tomorrow's note about why it did not get done. And I wrote this long note the next day explaining why it didn't get done, but how I'm going to do so much better today.
Wow.
But as you can see from today, there were 3 things that I did not get done. Then I circled in red. And once again, the next day came, I had some explanations about it. But with each passing day, the red marks just get more and more. The explanations just get more and more until finally, yesterday, I really didn't have that much to do. And I had this sciatica, but I still felt like, I should be able to get this done.
Wow.
And this done, and this done. But by the end of the day, I couldn't do it. I lost the spirit, and I lost the... And I had sciatica. Perfectly good explanation, but I couldn't get it done.
I have many questions too, but we don't have much time.
Right.
May I? Or?
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes, so ask a question.
I think I say try rather than I will. I wonder if that's a good idea or not.
You will note, I will address that very thing.
Yes.
With how my language has differed a little. So yesterday I wrote, I commit to completing the tasks and practices below with God's help. So help me God. So there has been a shift.
Yeah, that's much stronger than mine. I will try to send out a poem and try to... I have found, I call my friend Anthony every night now.
Yeah.
He suggested it. And we poured in on what we had planned to do and how well we did. And we often do it to just voicemail. And he doesn't really care, I know, but it really matters. I feel bad if I have to call in and say, I did no exercises today.
Yeah, me too.
And he doesn't care. And it still works. But, and the one day he was out of town and I knew I wasn't going to call him, I was way less disciplined. Being very human, talk about humbling.
Yeah. Me too. When I circle it in red, because I didn't do it.
But I wonder if it would be different if you had to report to someone.
I'm sure it would be different. The person might be a little more gentle with me than I am normally with myself. In fact, that's one of my beloved confessor. I go to confession once a week, no matter what. And of late, he has been urging me towards being more gentle with myself, more kind to myself.
Maybe to say you'll try, I don't know.
But
I will try to do these things. Or it's very important to be honest with ourselves.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because not that I am, but I would like to be. To know when I say I will is different from when I will try.
my fear, and this is we've got 30 seconds, but my fear has been that if I say anything less than I will, then it means I'm on the slippery slope. Slippery slope. I'm lost. I'm off the wagon. Anyway, we're off the wagon, beloved God Talk guys out there in TV land. We've got 15 seconds to say thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the Oscars tonight. May the movies of your choice be the winners. And Michael, great to see you again.
God be with all of us.
God be with you and with all of us.
May we heal.
May we heal. And may we get everything done that we can get done.
Oh, yes. Too bad that didn't make it.